How you doing, YouTube? Matt, Massive Beer Reviews, back with yet another review. Got one of those Avery gold foil top bangers for you today in the form of their Raspberry Truffale. Yeah, I believe that might be a new one from them. I mean, they spit out quite a few nowadays. It's hard to keep up, but I'm pretty sure this is a newbie. But what we have here is a barrel-aged, bourbon barrel-aged chocolate and raspberry stout. Fuck yeah, motherfucker. So yeah, kind of excited to give it a whirl. Like I said, they call it Raspberry Truffale. I assume that's Raspberry Truffle, but they go Truffale. Truffale. And yeah, what else we have on here? 14%. It was bottled almost exactly a month ago. July 27th is when this is bottled. I'm reviewing this on the 26th of August. Let's see, what else? It says brewed and bottled, Avery Brewing Company. Number 50. With the 50th installment to our barrel series, we figured there's always room for dessert. We're proud to serve this homage to Dad's favorite dessert, a riff on our first ever seasonal brew from '96. Okay, magnified in bourbon barrels for a bigger, bolder bite of indulgence. Done and done. Oddly enough, this is 14%. This is probably one of the lower EBV gold foil tops I've had in a while, especially in the kind of darker variety. So yeah, it says serve at 45 to 55 and a little kind of sniftery glass. Got that covered. And label-wise, it is quintessential Avery with their kind of, you know, barrel and kind of design and all that kind of stuff. So let's give this sucker a whirl. Ooh, yeah, motor oil, baby. Gotta give it a gentle pour. I was gonna give it a rough pour. You're talking about those 14% huge big beers from Avery. You don't expect to generate much of that on it. But this one, while big, is gonna dissipate mad quick. Yeah, I mean, look at that. That's one of the more unique heads I've seen in quite some time. The way those bubbles are cascading down, I've never seen that in a beer before. That's kind of weird, to be perfectly honest with you. I don't know. Anyway, yeah, no, not much head to be left. Basically what happened, what I'm assuming is, there's a bunch of raspberry in here, maybe a little bit of, or decent amount of real raspberry, and those, whatever it is, the oils or bits and pieces of raspberry just killed the head completely. But the way it kind of collapsed upon itself was really unique. What's left? Like a murky, dirty glass. Where that head was, it left bits and pieces of particulate behind, which leads me to believe there was definitely real fruit in here. And what you're left is straight up motor oil. I mean, that is... You can try to generate a head on this sucker, and you can get a nice little one on there, and what head you get is just rich and dark, and has a hint of kind of raspberry orangeness. And that gives that weird head again, man. It's kind of unique. I wish you guys could see it. You probably can't see it on camera, but yeah, it's kooky. Let's try to get a nose on her. Guess what? There's fucking raspberry in there. Holy shit. Big, huge, jammy, delicious, fantastical jamminess. I can't tell you how much I love that jammy component in stouts, man. A lot of people put fruit in stouts, and it does come off fruity, but you don't get that kind of just thick, delicious kind of jamminess out of a lot of them. There's ones that do it really well. This is one of them. But you also get this really nice kind of chocolate malt in the back. There's not much as far as a bittering, whether it come from a roast malt or something like that. I'm sure there is. It's a big, huge, sweet beer. Those in bourbon barrels, that's kind of being beaten back with that sweetness. But you're getting a nice, rich kind of chocolate in there. And it's hitting a couple different levels of chocolate. You get milk chocolate, you get a little bigger chocolate, you get everything in between. So you're not just getting rich, sweet chocolate or just bittering chocolate. It's kind of hitting all spectrums. Yeah, you definitely get the boozy kind of bourbon in there, but it doesn't come off like an infinitely like hot bourbon. You get the booziness, you know it's there, but it's not super hot. So it lets you know you're dealing with a bourbon barrel beer, but not kind of out of control. There's a sweet kind of fruitiness to the bourbon, but that raspberry's way too big to kind of let me pick up any of that kind of cherry dark fruit notes from the bourbon. It's just infinitely too big. And it smells really nice. It doesn't smell, even though there is that bit of evaporative alcohol thing to the bourbon, so you know it's a bigger beer. It doesn't come off super like hot in the nose, at least. Let's dive in. Cheers. A little bit of barrel char in there too. Cheers. That's the good stuff right there, baby. Oh yeah. Yeah, this is hitting all the notes I like a big, huge barrel-aged beer to hit. And you got that added component of that raspberry in there. It just takes it to the next level. So you're getting a nice, rich beer base to it. Yes, it tastes like beer. It doesn't taste like crazy raspberry kind of syrupy adjunctiness. Or it doesn't taste like just a bourbon barrel under control. It tastes like a big, roasty, nice, sweet, yet balanced with that bittering and the roastiness, kind of stoutiness. You get that raspberry in there, man. It's gigantic. Big, huge, jammy raspberry. Sweet, but at the same time it has a little bit of kind of bittering component, like when you crunch down a seed or something like that, you get a little bit of that kind of earthy, tannic kind of bitterness. It almost has like that going for it. So I'm assuming they're throwing everything in this, the bits, the pieces, the stems, the seeds, the whole nine. The bourbon, nice. It's hot. It is a little bit slightly boozy, but for 14%, fresh off the shelf, a month old. I don't mind it. It has enough heat to let me know that I'm dealing with something of big proportions, while at the same time small enough to where I can drink it and not be kind of taken back by it. This is a delicious beer, man. This is 2 in a row. I've had a couple from Avery, the gold foil tops. I'm lucky enough they sent me the stuff. And they sent me some of their smaller ABV stuff, but I tend to get, they know who they're dealing with, they tend to send me their gold foil top stuff. And there was a couple in a row I was like, oh man, no, just didn't hit for me, but the last 2 have really done it for me. And, you know, I'm kind of excited. I have a Rumkin, this year's Rumkin, which I always love. I usually like age on it, and that one sit in the fridge, so I'm kind of excited for that one. But this is probably one of the more multi-layered, complex, deeper ones that I've had in a while, especially while fresh. That's the beautiful thing about these, is that they get so much better with age. It's usually kind of the exception of the rule. Super long review, so I'm done right now. I love it. I think it's delicious. You can cut it off if you want, but it's one of the beautiful things about these beers is that more times than not, they're going to age really well. It kind of goes against conventional thinking, because more moving parts, the more they can go wrong with an ageable beer. But usually the gold foil tops usually age pretty damn well. They tend to be priced a little bit high. That kind of sucks, but it tends to make them sit on the shelf a little bit longer, so it kind of works out in their favor to where it's like, okay, if you don't buy it right away, it's not the best thing in the world, but at the same time, you will buy it eventually because it's going to turn into some cash money gold awesomeness. This is probably one of the better ones coming out of the chute that is just straight deliciousness. So, yeah, I'm trying to think what else. The only knock I would give it, and I knew this going into tasting it, so I didn't really think about it all that much, is the carbonation. It's pretty low. It's almost non-existent. The way the head kind of dropped both of those times, I kind of, when I poured it and swirled it, I knew it was going to do that. I knew there was going to be no carbonation because of the bits and pieces they had floating around in this beer. I'm okay with it, though, because it's a 14% huge stout that's giving me all those jammy vibes, so I can trade off a little bit of carbonation for that kind of deliciousness. So let's talk about it. It's one of the better adjunct barrel stouts that I've had as of late. There's a lot of huge ones out there. I mean, the patriarchy is alive. Yeah, this is pretty good fucking stuff. To be perfectly honest with you. Again, words. Again, it's a shelf beer, technically. I can usually pick these up relatively easily off the shelf in my area. I don't know how about you guys do, but I can. So for this to be where it's at and be a shelf beer is pretty awesome. You know what I mean? You're talking about doubling this up. You're getting to 24 ounces. So I'm assuming this is going to be $26 to $30 for a 24 ounces. So give or take a $7.50. That's kind of market value when it comes to today's world. I mean, it sucks. That's the way things are nowadays. But, you know, in a perfect world, it would be $10. But, I mean, it's what people pay. So who am I to say? I'll keep complaining about it, though. Availability, if you see the foil tops, chances are you'll see this. And leave you with, if you like what, will you like this beer? If you like big Imperial barrel-aged stouts, if you like well-made stouts, carbonation, a little bit of lost carbonation doesn't bother you, especially in the long run where the beer kind of shines because of that awesome jammy vibe. If you love that great jamminess, and I'm talking about that jam that you got from old school Framing Hammer PB&Js and those kind of beers, some of your Pipes Works, Raspberry Abductions, those kind of things. If you get down with that kind of jam character, then you're going to get jammed. Jeremy jammed. There you go. Another review in the books. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Down there if you want to talk about it. Massive Beers if you want to check me out doing the social media stuff. Beer Massive if you want to check me out doing all podcasting stuff. And hopefully you guys enjoyed the review. Hopefully enjoying a nice little jammer right now. And hope to see you next time. Cheers.